welcome to Rewind Fast Forward with D&D, where David and Dwaine rewind a season, knowing the fast forward.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rewind Fast Forward with D&D. My name is Dwaine, and I am here with my best friend, David. Hello, David.
What's up, bud?
Oh, man, you know, lots of wonderful things are happening in the world today.
This is what happens when you don't watch a show on a certain night of the week and you commit to podcasting 24 hours later.
What, are you implying that I literally just turned off the TV and came over here?
No, just that it's a different night of the week for us, which they don't care, but we're doing it when we want, but it's so worth doing, but we just do it when we can.
For them, it's Saturday, unless they're patrons, then it's, tonight, but for them, it's Saturday. So, or later. Y'all, this is the podcast in which David and I get to talk about any show we want after we've watched all the episodes. We pick a season, we rewind to the beginning of that season, and we talk about each episode knowing what's on the fast forward. In other words, we get to talk about the entire season as we talk about each episode and how it fits in the arc of the season. And boy, tonight's episode 4 is going to be wonderful to talk about. As you know, we're doing Stranger Things Season 1. And what's the title of the show, David?
The Body.
Chapter 4, The Body.
Whatever.
But it's the body. Or the rubber body.
Bloodless body.
The foam. The foam. It's just the foam. By the way, if you listen and enjoy this podcast, then let other people know about it. Seriously, though, for a good time, go to rewff.com. There you go. All right, David, let's talk about this amazing episode because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't take notes this time, but it's really fresh on my mind. So if you'll kind of lead the discussion, then we should be in good shape.
I watched it shortly after we finished last week, Chapter 3, because I just wanted to get to it. Actually, I watched a good part of it when I watched Chapter 3.
Yeah.
Because I had some comments about this one last week.
Yeah.
But
and you couldn't make them, right?
I had to reference them. But so I have my notes from last time I watched it, but then while I was waiting for you, I just kind of watched through it again.
Yeah.
And it kind of pays to watch it right before you podcast.
Oh, man.
It's so fresh.
Yeah. Okay.
But what I like about this episode is that to me, there's 3 major transitions. This is that episode where something happens, somebody speaks to another person, something is seen, something is found, and the whole series goes into 3rd gear. Goes from 2nd gear of why don't these people talk? Why aren't they believing each other? Now we're suddenly finishing this episode in 3rd gear. And we're going to be hitting 4th very soon. But there was 3, and we'll talk about them as we go through the episode, 3 really big transitions that happened. Revelations, transitions, whatever you want to call them. But that just made this such a good episode. And we went on and on last week about 3, but this week is just as good.
Yeah, I mean, there's not as much in the episode as 3 had, like as far as like new stuff. Yeah. But oh my goodness, it had some amazing stuff in it.
It did. So it starts with the police get to the buyer's house after the body in the what do they call that? The water,
big water body
of water thing. Yeah, the body found in the body of water. Gosh, now I forget what not the canyon, but they call it something else.
Yeah.
But they're in the house and they're responding. They're looking around the house at what Joyce claimed happened. They've obviously already talked to Joyce, and she shared with them what just happened, why she ran from the house, and why she's outside the house and this, that, and the other. So they're kind of walking through with flashlights and looking at walls and stuff.
How cool was it that the whole beginning of this episode in the house was kind of like a dream-like sequence, It's kind of like the beginning of not the beginning, but the part of Saving Private Ryan where it's like he gets hit with a shot grenade or whatever. I'm sure it wasn't a shot grenade, but and it's all you can barely hear the stuff around you, and then it kind of kicks in.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that part. It's almost like it was from her perspective. This is so unreal. This is so surreal. And then all of a sudden, oh, okay, now you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's surreal for her. You're right, because she just witnessed something that nobody else saw, obviously, but they're trying to tell her that, what they just saw, and this is still sheriff time. Sheriffs work on facts. They work off evidence. They work on what they can see, smell, taste, touch. They work on all those things.
Right.
And according to life, being a sheriff, when you get a body, you've got a body. And it's kind of almost the end to the case when that comes up type thing. And he, there is obviously the relationship between Hopper and Joyce from the past that we can tell. And we don't know how deep it was, how close it was. We can guess. But, you think back to somebody you knew in high school and you suddenly run across them again in life. And it's like, I know you're a real person. I know you didn't have, I knew you as a teenager. I want to believe you, but and finally he breaks in and says, look, when I lost Sarah, I saw her too. I get it. I get it, Joyce. Please listen to me. You got to let that go. Now, I didn't go as nutso as you did with your Christmas lights and everything else that you're doing.
Yeah, I wasn't quite crazy, like, goo.
Yeah, but I did. So,
well,
go ahead.
No, it's like that whole first scene in the house. It's so dark. I mean, is the electricity out? Is that why it's so dark, or is it just?
It could be. I don't remember. Yeah, but they were shining flashlights. You're right. They were shining flashlights as they walked through the house.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
And
what
even
it was.
after they leave, it's the same deal.
I mean, when the monster appeared, he may have blown everything. So,
yeah,
I mean, they may have lost electricity. But this is the first time we hear from Joyce as she describes what she saw as almost human, but it didn't have a face.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jonathan heard this and then left the room.
Right.
So he gets this information.
And we also get a confirmation, because as you know, last week it's been a long time since I've seen the season. So my fast forward is a little fuzzy sometimes. But he absolutely thinks she's crazy right now. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely thinks she's crazy.
He knows even as a young person, you have to accept some things to move on.
Yeah. I mean, when you're yelling at your mom in the street, you pretty much have lost empathy. I think it's to the point where he began with a level of empathy. And as it progresses and gets to this point where she's claiming that the monster came out of the wall and her son communicated with her and the lights went blink, blink, he's like, okay, finally, there's no empathy here. I'm going to go listen to my headphones.
Yeah. And there's almost later in that scene, it's almost like a role reversal. You need to grow up and get over this because we need to move on with the funeral. And
right.
This, that, and the other.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I really like the end of this scene because not only the fact that she goes and gets an axe, and brings it back into the room and says, you know what? I ran last time. I'm not running this time.
Did you see the way it's like I have my axe.
A stomp. Yeah, she stomped.
I don't, I am ready for whomever comes.
That's right. And now Hopper didn't see this, but I love what he did. He got out in his truck. I think he started it, put it in gear, and then put it back in park.
Yep.
And said, you know what? There's just a small part of him that just can't completely cut himself off from his old friend Joyce because of how passionate she was about, please believe me. Right. Please believe me. Yeah. I'm not saying I saw this and you didn't, but I'm asking you to believe me. Right. I mean, how passionate was that? That just broke my heart that she's begging him to believe him and they can't.
I mean, let me put myself in the Chief's shoes. You're my best friend. If you were telling me all this stuff that she's telling him, I would think you were crazy. But then there'd be that small part of me that would be like, but this is David. You know, what if there is something about this? And I think that's where he's at. And it's only going to take a little bit to kind of, whet that appetite and slate that need.
Plus, you know that except for the recent oxy that I took for my knee surgery, but otherwise, I don't take anything
That is
that
true.
would give me hallucinations.
Wait, why'd you just pop a pill before we started the podcast?
You didn't see that.
No,
Okay.
I didn't see that.
So, but that's all I got for that scene. I like that there was still that connection to me of a friendship, with that relationship, whatever it was, that he parked the truck.
Yeah.
He didn't see her go get the axe, but he parked the truck because you know what? What else do I got? There ain't nobody in my house.
Yeah.
I mean, I might as well give her the benefit of the doubt,
I think he just needed a second to think, and plus he got real with her,
Mm-hmm.
he really showed compassion with the whole, let me tell you about my experience with Sarah. That's deep, intimate stuff,
Yeah.
but then she's right. This is different, Okay. So I don't want to belabor that first scene.
That's a good point. How close was their relationship that he would do that with her? Because I don't think he's talked to anybody else about her until this trooper later on, but that's more undercover stuff.
Well, but see, I think he did it then because he has a connection with what she's going through. And yes, that is deep and that is intimate for him. But in that situation, he sees a woman whom he thinks is just in horrific agony, and he can help.
Yeah.
So even if they didn't have, I don't know if that speaks to their previous relationship or if it just speaks to what a great guy this guy is. He genuinely cares about her. There you go. And he's willing to expose his own hurt and his own things that he went through to help her. But anyway, we could talk about that forever. Dr.
I was going to
Phil.
say, we probably just read way into that more than we needed to.
Yeah.
But speaking of two people who don't seem like they belong together, Mike's parents
Oh my gosh.
sitting on the couch watching TV.
No. Do you think?
Opposites attract, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think I should go see him downstairs? His mom's like, no.
She actually says he'll come to us when he's ready, as in, you don't know your son.
Yeah.
We don't go to your son. He comes to us when he's ready.
But she went to him later.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did.
So I think she just didn't want him to go down there.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And I thought it was funny that she reached over to hold his hand, and he took it like, I'll hold your hand, because the holding hands thing was really kind of awkward.
We're holding hands? It's been so long.
Let's see. How old is Nancy? I mean, how long since we've held hands? So, but anyway, yes. So that was, he'll come to us when he's ready.
Yeah.
But down in Mike's basement, Mike is not happy.
No, he's so mad at her.
Yeah. He's berating Elle for not that she would do, or what they thought she was going to do.
Yeah.
She's just, I don't know. She's like she's non-emotional.
Well,
she has no reaction at the time, but you can see that it's kind of like she almost wants to break down. Doesn't know how. She doesn't know how. She's never been in this situation.
now,
Usually when she does something wrong, she's taken to a room.
oh, well, yeah. But at the same time, she knows she didn't do anything wrong. She just knows that Mike's mad at her.
She's confused. Yeah.
Right. So what is she doing? She is doing everything she can to get in touch with Will so that he'll know, so that Michael know that she's not lying, because he keeps talking about friends and he is her only friend. And she wants to show him, I am not lying, blam you. I was going to say blasted and darn, whatever.
Yeah. And she tries to do it without the bleeding of the nose. But
Right.
once he gets to the point where he's so mad and she can't take it anymore, like you said, I'm going to show you that I'm not lying.
Yes.
She strains as hard as she has to, and she gets him singing.
Yep.
And it's a great moment. And I love at the end where after he tries to talk to Will, he can't, but he can hear him, but he tries to talk to him. But Will doesn't have one of those high powered walkie-talkies.
No, I was thinking, plus, if he did and he was doing the thing, he wouldn't be able to hear you if you're talking. He had to wait till he says over.
Right. Exactly. He was still singing. But I love it that when he goes off, Mike says, was that? And she said, yeah, that was the guy I told you was still alive. And I was trying to bring you to him. Thank you very much. That was Will.
Yeah, I was going to say, she said all that in Will. But
that look.
okay,
Yeah.
so just to make sure people don't think we're totally inept, we know Will did not have a walkie-talkie on the other side. She was just using the walkie-talkie as a device to hear him on the upside down. There was no walkie-talkie over there, and David and I do know this.
Just like she was trained to do, which we'll see in a flashback later on.
That's right.
That's right.
All right. What's next? This is is this like when he gets on the walkie with Lucas?
No, this is when the credits roll. We got to give the credits credit because it's so amazing. Joyce wakes up. She's woken up by Jonathan. Actually, by Will.
Sorry, I turned it off.
Yeah, she was woken up by Will in a little dream. And then it was actually Jonathan waking her up since we got to go to the morgue. Then it goes back to Mike being Ferris Bueller and being fake sick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mom, I just need to stay home. Yeah, that was cool.
Now, what was neat in the scene before we get to the fact where she offered him an R-rated movie?
Oh, gosh. Basic Instinct, whatever you want to watch.
So, my thought was, what R-rated movie would it have to be a horror movie?
Probably so.
Yeah. It wouldn't be anything else.
That was the 80s? No, that they had movies like those Busty Babes. Oh, no, not Busty Babes, but like those. They had all those stupid comedies like Revenge of the Nerds and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I don't think she'd get him. I think if it was R, it would be a horror R.
Okay. Horror R, not a hard R. Yeah. A horror R, not a hard R.
So before Mike rallies the troops by calling Lucas, I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before. And that when he's talking to his mom for a while, the covers are up to his chin. But halfway through that scene, the covers come down and you see the cut on his chin where he fell.
Yeah.
He got pushed. And if you look at it, it's in the shape of a lightning bolt on his chin.
It's Harry Potter. Now, I have never heard of any Harry Potter references in this. Surely that's just a coincidence.
And if I was watching on the Mac, I would have freeze shot it and put it up on somewhere. But yeah, if you look at his chin and that scene where mom's talking to him, his chin is a lightning bolt.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's just a coinkydink.
Or it could be just an Easter egg they just dropped in there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
But once he's gone, once mom is gone, even though, and I love how she says, if you need anything, call dad.
Yeah.
But it's obviously because dad's at an office with a phone. She's out in the car with no cell phone.
Right, right.
But then he calls Lucas and he does the annoying best friend thing that you do to get somebody to talk to you is that you don't shut up. You just keep talking until they come back and talk to you.
Yes. No, not out. Just over, but not out. This has to do with Will. What, his funeral? Screw his funeral. It's like, what do you mean? What? That's our best friend.
That's right.
What a great conversation.
Yeah. So over and out. In other words, get over here and bring Justin.
Yeah. My over and out means something. Yours does not.
That's right.
Just remember that.
Now, the next scene is one of the scenes that I love where something's out of the ordinary. And this is the start of the tearing down of the case that they want the public to believe. Hopper's at the morgue.
Oh, yes, yes.
And he's talking to the lady at the front desk and says, what's taking him so long? She says, well, everything's gone haywire since Gary left. He's like, why did Gary left? He is our Quincy. He is our ME.
Yeah.
He always does the bodies. He does the autopsies. And she says, well, they sent him home. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another part to that conversation I'd like to hear, but we'll see that in about 5 segments later.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we talk to Gary. So
one thing go ahead. I thought you were done.
Well, I was going to say Joyce and Jonathan are at the window next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just a second. I got something. So one thing I like about this episode is obviously they named it The Body. I was glad that they took care of this in one episode. I'm glad we didn't have this fake rubber body over 2 episodes. I like the fact that it was done in one episode, and yet knowing what's on the fast forward, knowing what's later on in the season, we can see how they're setting us up for other things that are going to be coming up. You know? So I really like that about this episode. I realize they do this in other episodes, but if you look at last week's episode, it had so much stuff in it that was pertinent and set up. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And this was all about that body, all about the body and coordinated with that, all about connecting with Will, right? It's both of those. The body's fake. Will is alive. And oh my gosh, the scene later with the ham, I didn't even remember it like that. Oh, awesome.
Well, this is what I was talking about at the beginning. I call this a transition episode because on one side of the spectrum, you've got the lab people that know about the upside down. You've got Elle who's lived in it. You've kind of got Mike who wants to believe her, who wants to believe whatever she's saying.
Right.
And you've got Joyce that's connected to the upside down. Then in the middle, you've got Dustin. You've got Nancy. You got you know, a little bit further is Jonathan, way farther is Lucas and Hopper. So it's like you got this timeline of who believes what and who's seen what.
Right.
And this is the episode where a lot of those people slide over to the other side.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about this episode.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're at Jonathan and his mama at the window.
Jonathan goes to throw up because when you see your sibling like that, I can't imagine what that does to you.
Oh yeah. And they had that rubber body looking really bad. You know what it looked like? It looked like Eleven's face after the ham radio incident. I'm not joking. I'm not.
Yeah. Very pale, very out of it.
All those veins.
And then Joyce shows almost no sadness. She wants clarification because she doesn't believe it.
Yeah. Well, she knows.
Yeah. So she wants to see the birthmark. And even though we never see proof of that, if you watch the very end, you do see the doctor, whoever is in there, pull back the sheet like he's going to lift up the arm.
Mm-hmm.
So they've probably had his medical records or whatever, just enough to know that there was a birthmark.
Oh, I mean, look, the guy, the mannequin thing, the rubber body was a perfect replication. So surely they had enough information to know about a birthmark. Right. I don't think. Yeah. And if she's running out of the morgue, leaving, and the doctor's chasing her, it's because he's proven it. She won't sign the paperwork. Mm-hmm. But if the birthmark wasn't there, to me, she's coming out screaming, "It's not him. The birthmark's not there." Right. But because it was there, she would just run straight out. It's not him, and I'm not signing anything. And I don't think. Do you think it's because she saw something in the body, or do you think it's because even though this is right in front of me, I know what I've heard and I know what I've seen. So I know this is not him, even though it's right there in front of her.
Yeah, I think it's what you said. It's a heart thing for her. Everything she said about proof has been with her heart. I know he's here. I know he's close, you know, and she's heard it. So, yeah.
Well, that's not just heart, though. That is like, okay.
That's facts to her.
Right. Well, she's faced with two concrete things. Here is my son in a morgue, but I know I've heard, and I know what I've heard on the phone. I know what I said and and the response I got in the lights. These are all concrete things. And I know I saw the monster come through the wall. I know that I saw him read, "I'm here, run," or whatever he wrote. And these are concrete things. There's a whole lot more of those concrete things. Plus they touch at her heart, like you're saying, versus the one concrete thing of a dead boy that represents the end of it. Right. It's obvious. These concrete things are better than this one. But still, it's this, you know, a rock in a hard place. She picks the right one. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah. I talked too long on that.
No, you're right. It's easy for her not to believe it's Will.
Right.
From all the proof she's gathered.
Right.
And then at the end of that, I didn't write it down the first time, but I wrote it down tonight when I was watching that Jonathan and Hopper have the talk about, he's worried about his mom, this, that, and the other, but she's tough. We'll be okay. And Hopper goes, "Yeah, she's tough." As in like, yeah, you're not kidding. She's tough. As in, your mom has faced some struggles in life and she is a tough woman. Yeah. So you're right. She's tough. And you're not just telling me that to make me feel good. I'm telling you that I've known your mom a long time.
Right.
And she is tough. I like that.
Mm. Yeah, and it's definitely he helped her get through that divorce.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because we got the hint of that in the first episode, et cetera.
From Lonnie, yeah.
Yeah. What a horrible way to end this episode, though.
Yeah. So Nancy is talking to Steve, I guess in an alley between two buildings.
It's at school. That's the makeout alley.
Okay.
It's so funny. He's so concerned about the cops. And she's like, "My best friend is possibly dead."
Yes. Have you seen Barb? No, but we can't bring them back to the house. We can't say you're at the house.
You idiot.
Okay. When you talk about Barb, just leave out the house.
That's right.
Don't talk about the pool she was sitting on. And
that's right.
Diving board and anything else she did or her blood in the pool. Yeah. We can't talk about that at all.
I'm going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do get the second mention because Nancy says it was like a man, but it did like, and Steve says, "You said he had a mask on." She's like, "No, it was like he just had no face."
Right. And Joyce has already said that.
Exactly. So this is the second time in this episode, like the first 10 minutes that we're here. It's probably actually 20 minutes by now, but yeah, that we're hearing a no face description.
Right.
So we've seen the same now. And this is where I was talking last week where the monster was behind her in the woods. She got a glimpse of it and that it was something with no face.
Right.
So then we go to the very uncomfortable scene of Joyce walking home and Jonathan wanting her to get in the car, and they have an argument. And the role reversal of get in the car now. You're not walking home. Right. I don't care how old you are. So
it looked like downtown Mayberry.
Yes.
Only in color.
And it made him look like the people looking around were like, oh, it's the buyers. You know, it's the buyer. It's Jonathan the loner. And but it's also the buyers who are missing their child.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like, number one, I'm glad that's not me having to deal with that. They wouldn't admit it. They wouldn't say that. But, it's like the people if you're in the emergency room for something horrible and the people around you are thinking, I'm glad I'm not them.
Right.
So there's some of that. And then there's also they are kind of weird anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of both of those, just like you said. Yeah.
And now she's acting like a kid and he's acting like the parent. What is going on with this family?
Yeah, well, she's the only smart one right now.
Right. So unless you got something else for that scene. That was kind of a hard to watch, but understandable scene.
Yeah.
She's still passionate. So then we get to the basement where Elle is working with the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucas thinks it's a baby. The whimpering is a baby.
Wait a second. Did we just totally go over the point that whenever Will is hiding, what he does to help calm him is sing that song? How cool is that?
Oh, that was in the very beginning. Yeah.
Right, but I don't think we ever said what he was doing. I mean, that was just clear as day. She was like a microphone in his tent. But anyway, go ahead. So, she's playing with the...
But it's more like whimpering this time.
Right.
And they think it's a baby.
No, not they. Lucas.
Lucas. Yes, your favorite. Lucas thinks it's a baby.
Well, he gets better.
Well, but it's funny. In this scene, we are reminded of what Mike represents, what Dustin represents, and what Lucas represents. Mike is the believer. He's back to being full-on Elle faithful believer.
Right.
Lucas is full-on anti-Elle. He does not believe her. He thinks it's totally wrong to be following her. And Dustin wants to believe, but he's not fully committed. He's right in the middle. It's like the three levels of belief.
And he's also in awe all the time.
All the time. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
He lives his life with wide open eyes. Wow.
But
well, I like it whenever was it Mike or Dustin who said that sounds like he did whenever he fell off his bike.
Oh, I don't remember. I'm going to guess it's Mike.
So it's not like it was a baby. No, that's what Will sounds like when he gets hurt or when he's, not crying out loud, but whimpering.
Right. But it's neat that they do agree that we need to try a bigger radio. She's picking up something with this radio, but we need something stronger. So they're going to go to school and use a school radio. But before they do that, they have to give her a makeover so that she doesn't stand out like a little child with a shaved head that looks like a boy that's actually a girl.
Yeah. But you did miss we need a bigger. Well, I guess it wouldn't be boat, obviously. So what would you say? We need a bigger radio.
Yes, we need a bigger radio.
Yeah, but it needs to be one syllable. We need a bigger ham. Okay, so they dress her up to look just like E.T. when E.T. was dressed up.
Yes. Really?
Just saying.
A dress. I guess all girls wear dresses, so she has to wear a dress. She can't wear a blouse or
that and what was I going to say? I don't remember. Oh, how'd they get that wig to look so good? I guess wigs come with like wig tape and stuff like that or something. And what the heck was his older sister doing with a wig anyway?
That's a great question. Just must be a dress up thing when they pretended to be E.T. for Halloween. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
So, but one production note I'd like to add here is to the quality of this cast. If you go back and watch this scene again where she comes out of the room and they talk about how she looks, watch Lucas's face. Because he's standing behind Mike in front of Dustin, and his reactions are so good, so mature for a young actor. I loved it. I got glued to his face. I watched the scene again.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And then Mike calls her pretty. He's like, what?
Right.
And then Dustin makes a comment. And then he comes back to like, you guys. And Mike says something, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
His reaction is so good.
Yeah. And that's even not being in the focus. I mean, the focus is on Mike.
Right. Exactly.
And Dustin and Lucas are really, if I remember correctly, kind of not even focused.
They're behind him. Exactly.
Right. I mean,
it's locked in on Mike.
Yeah. And so even more so acting very well, even whenever you're in the background.
Yeah. So, but Mike does the makeup. She comes out, and they're pretty good. This and the other. Time to go to Mr.
And then
Clark's
she looks at the window and goes, pretty.
Yes, pretty.
And Mike goes, oh, yeah. Boom,
boom. So back at the lab, we get to find out what that steel cable bolted to the ground thing's for. It's to pull back the guts of whoever's crazy enough to go inside the upside down.
The man's son. I think it might be his son. Because.
What gave you that intent?
Well, I mean, obviously he says son, but I tried to look. The noses look the same. The profiles look the same. I'm just wondering if it really is his son.
Well, his name is Shepherd, and Brenner in Dutch means shepherd. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't.
You butthead. So. You are such a butthead. Gosh, that was so mean.
I know, but it was good, right? That does not upset me to play Total.
I know, but
podcast.
I forgot to play it earlier, so I thought I'd throw you off.
Okay. So Shepherd, who looks like Brenner, goes into the upside down.
Wait. So there's no way they could be father and son, is what you're saying.
Well, he could be number 2.
Okay.
Still alive. You know, right. He just can't do what Elle can do, but he can go into a seeping pour or whatever it was. And just
if they wanted to be realistic about this, they would have him screaming, no, y'all rigged the straws. That was not the shortest straw. He'd be yelling and screaming because anybody knows that's a stupid thing to go do. I mean, when you touch it and it grows back together.
Yeah.
And
I
hope you address that because I know I'm kind of over talking you. So I want to make sure that we talk about speculate because that's not the monster. And yet it's growing back together.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what was created when Elle made contact with the monster.
What was? Some slimy thing that actually grows?
The portal. The portal for it to come in and out.
But the portal, like, it's like alive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love that. When he goes through, it closes up behind him. And I'm thinking, I would, don't tell him because he's going to come back out if he finds out that just closed up behind him.
It's like, oh, wow. Did you see that? Did you see what? Oh, nothing at all.
I can't see anything now. Yeah. There's no opening. So, and the tentacles were kind of waving him in. Come on in.
Yes.
But he goes in. It says it's all, what does he say? It goes corroded. I'm sorry. We don't get that far yet. We just get that he goes in at this point. So now we're back to Nancy having trouble focusing in class. She's called out and she's questioned by Deputy Dew and Deputy Dome.
Yeah, and don't question a girl in front of her mom. Okay, I guess you have to, but you're not going to get.
Have to.
You're not going to get real answers. You know, she's not going to be like, well, yeah, we were up there and it was really ironic because every time I would scream, Barbara would scream. You know, they're not going to get that kind of information from her.
They might if they end the conversation by saying, is that after or before you changed your clothes?
Well,
at Steve's house.
Yeah. Well, then
that's when the conversation got interesting because Mom was agape when that was said. Her mouth dropped.
But she had already said, I went upstairs to change clothes.
Well, she said she was what I remember, because like I said, I didn't see every scene word for word tonight, but she had an argument with Barb is how she started it. And they said, tell us more about this argument. Well, it wasn't really an argument. It was more of a disagreement or discussion. So, but they reveal a lot that there's no sign of anything, no bear, no tracks, and no car.
Yeah. Which was what?
Yeah. That's what made her really worry.
Yeah.
So.
Of course, then, you know, then we get mom and daughter at home. Now, you know, if mom had handled this a little differently, not focusing on the obvious fact that her daughter slept with the guy, but focused on the Barb side of it, her daughter probably would have talked to her.
Yeah, we'll skip to that little segment because she's Oh,
did I skip some stuff? I'm sorry.
Yeah, but let's conclude that part. Mom says that she's upset about her lying to the police, and she's like, "Why is nobody not thinking about Barb? Why are you worried about me, what I say to the police and me and Steve? Why are we not looking at Barb? Barb's our best friend and she's gone. She's disappeared." And she screams at her, "No one is listening to me," which is what Mom has told both her daughter and son, that I'm here. I will listen. Talk to me. And it's like we get that same segment of no one is listening to me.
That's exactly what I was just talking about. You could have segued right out of what I said right into that.
So I guess I wasn't listening to you.
Maybe not, because that was my whole point. If she would have focused on Barb and really listened to her instead of focusing on the sex, then she would have had a positive experience with her daughter, but she didn't.
Right.
Listen to me from now on, friend.
So Nancy goes upstairs, and amongst her crying, the pictures just fall perfectly in front of her.
Oh man!
So that she sees something weird in a corner of the picture, because she's looking at Barb, but she notices something behind her. So she puts the picture together, tapes it together, and she actually sees something standing behind Barb.
Yeah, that's really kind of one of those really cool moments of the show.
Yes. So she says, now they're going to listen to me.
I realize it was one of those kind of things where everything had to fall perfectly in place or the whole story changes. So the fact that out of all the pictures, all the shreds that were on the parking lot, she happened to pick up just the ones that would work. And then he happened to have taken a picture of the monster. You know, all these things play into it, but still one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, well, this is what I was talking about last week when the only picture that got ripped was the one of Barb. That's the one he happened to grab and rip. And she looked down and saw the Barb picture and picked it all up. And she also happened to pick up a piece from her, because her picture was there too, from a different photo. Oh, yeah. But she actually picked up the entire Barb picture.
Okay.
And then the wind blew the rest of them away, because that was something from the upside down pushing the rest of the pictures away.
No, it was not.
I know.
Crazy, man.
But anyway, going back, we got the scene where Hopper talks to the medical examiner, Gary, the local guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he talks about how the troopers brought in Will's body, all 6 of them, all stadies. And he said, I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
And he says, like, what do you mean? He says, it was kind of over the top. I mean, it was Will Byers. It wasn't John F. Kennedy.
Right. I think that really triggered it for the chief.
This is more of the brick wall coming down of their plan to, blow smoke on everybody. And those smokes coming apart. And then Hopper says, all right, thanks. I got all I need from you, basically. And then he stands up and he sees the trooper being interviewed that found the body. Mm-hmm. David O'Bannon. He comes back a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, yep. So that was good. That's just one of those revealing scenes. A little exploratory there.
Well, I like that they show how Chief gets to where he gets to.
Yes.
I like that they don't just go, okay, well, Chief believes now. Really, why? Why does he all of a sudden believe? They show us the progression, even the small steps, of how he gets to where he gets.
Right. And these story arcs are all different. Joyce is already there because she's heard it. She's felt it. She's basically at the door to the upside down. Right. Ella's been in it. Mike wants to believe it and is working to get there. Lucas doesn't. Nancy is stumbling her way towards the upside down, and Hopper is factually and evidence ways working his way to the upside down. So everybody's taking a different path to get there, but they all get there eventually, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
They get the kids, they get Elle to school, and they're just getting ready to get in, but it's locked. And then Dustin has the incredible idea of, hey, can you open the door with your powers? Which is a great idea, because that's Dustin. Everything's powers.
Yeah.
We've got a superpower here. So
I don't remember him saying that.
Yeah. That was the last thing he said right before Clark showed up.
I love Clark.
I told him about the assembly and teacher of the year. When it's over, guys, here you go. Take the keys. The radio's all yours.
The ham is yours.
Yeah.
So, as long as you're not Jewish.
I like Dustin's one of those that's always got to add something to, because Mike's like, we just need some alone time. Yeah. Dustin says, to cry.
Yeah. It's really cold.
Yeah.
And the other things that he added was pretty cool. I love it. Where are you from? Someplace bad.
Sweden.
Yeah. Sweden. It's really cold in Sweden.
Sub-zero. Yeah. I love it. Mike throws out Eleanor, and then Lucas's cousin, and Dustin goes, second cousin.
Yes.
So don't ask any more questions, because he's just a second cousin.
Yeah. That was a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But anyway.
He walks them to the double doors. They open it up, and Dustin has the right answer. Abort. Turn around. We're at the wrong door.
Yes.
They're all seeing us.
Yeah. But they go in anyway. What an awkward entrance. But anyway, yeah, so they go in anyway. And for some reason, instead of sitting on the front or somewhere over in the corner, they not only made a loud entrance, they apparently walked in and got past people and went to the middle of the whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, no one wants to sit in the middle.
Because that's what you do in that situation.
When you're late, that's right.
Yeah.
And so my question was, what was Mr. Clark not doing in the assembly? So I just wonder why he was in the hall. But he's not under suspicion anymore. He's a good teacher.
He was responsible for making sure people were in the assembly and not roaming the halls.
He was doing a last sweep. Gotcha.
Yeah, he was security.
All right, so we're back in the lab, and Shepard Brenner Jr. is not responding.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. So, well, no, he is responding. Oh, no, he's not responding, and then, okay.
Not at first. Yep. Then all of a sudden, everything goes crazy.
Yeah.
But he says everything is corroded, it's covered in blood, and that there's something else in here that's not corroded in blood and not standing still.
Look at the pretty teeth.
After some really good sound effect growling, Brenner says to pull back now, pull him back, no matter what. Don't let him, just drag him out of there, just like bait. Or lay him out like bait and drag him back like a fish.
Drag that belt right back in. Blood all over it.
That's right. He comes back in Shepard free.
And you know what Brenner thought? Who's next? Maybe bring a camera next time? Do we have some way to like Facebook Live this?
That was my thought. Who's next?
Yeah.
Who else wants to go?
Who's next? We can improve on this.
That's right.
We need a stronger suit.
Yeah, we lost a suit. Do we have more suits?
Yeah. Can we make a suit out of metal so that if he does get ripped out of it, it's, like through only the head?
That's right.
Anyway.
So
only the helmet hole. All right, go ahead.
We're back at school. Let's go back to school for the first stage of the anti-bully campaign. So yes, because those bullies are mocking the service. They're like the only people talking, and I don't know why the teacher can't hear them to shut them up.
And I don't know why the kids around them aren't going, come on, y'all are just horrible.
But Elle knows what they are. She calls them mouth breathers.
Yeah.
Those are the people that Mike's been talking about.
Yep.
And when they walk at the end, they're walking away, and Mike actually stands up to him, and right on his right shoulder is Elle.
And why did he stand up to them? Because 11 was there.
No.
Yes. No, he was brave, but he's like,
this is Mike we're talking about.
I know. Nice. But he's got, he's like, I got this beautiful girl next to me who pays attention to me and likes me. And I'm not going to wimp out on this. I'm going to stand up to them.
Oh, not because she has superpowers, but because
no,
because he didn't know what she could do at that point.
Well, I mean, I don't even think he was thinking that. I really think he's thinking, I'm going to stand up for myself. And this girl has given me self-confidence, right? Because, she likes him. He's got a friend who's a girl who's really pretty, who gives him attention. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to stand up. I'm not going to sit back and let this happen. I may get killed, but at least I'm standing up for it. Yeah.
I like that. I also think it has something to do with will. You can trip me. You can make Dustin do a shoulder trick, but you're talking about a friend right now who we think is still alive, but your behavior is uncalled for. So when he talks about him and the bullies mock him, he turns away and Mike gets in from the back push.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody within earshot of that gymnasium stops and looks.
Except for the teachers.
What teachers? They're already gone.
Yeah. They didn't
They're
hear anything.
checking the halls to make sure kids are coming out into the halls.
Only they were there later. So I don't know what they were doing during this part.
Yes,
the entire crowd stops moving and the teachers go, let's continue talking.
If we keep moving, they'll keep moving. So bully number one turns around and comes back after Mike and gets close, but that's about as far as he gets.
Yeah.
And then we hear the pitter patter of liquid falling to the gymnasium floor. And the cool blonde kid turns and says, look, so-and-so is urinating on himself.
Yeah. Okay. This is horrible. You know what I thought well, yes, that is horrible. But what I thought whenever that kid got to say that line was, ooh, he got paid extra.
He got a line.
Because I have a friend who works and does extra work, and you get paid a certain amount. And if you say a line, you get paid a lot more.
Wow.
Even if it's just one line. If you're just seen, you get paid a little bit. If you get seen and you go, which is why whenever you see like a group of 4 people and 3 of them are extras, maybe one of them will say something. The others just kind of smile and nod.
That's funny.
That's production saving some money. But anyway, talk about embarrassing. Oh, yeah. Peeing all over yourself.
And Mike, it only takes him a second to realize there's only one person that could do that. If that's what she, sure enough, he turns around and she's looking right at him. A little bit of blood. And she kind of goes into a swagger.
There you go. I was wondering if you were going to,
Every time I notice it, every time I see it, I'm like, why did they do that? Because she does the little wipe, but then she turns away from the direction she's going and kind of leans into it in a very cool manner.
Well, she even flicked it off, kind of like,
I'm out of here.
That's right. Like, I did that.
And did the whole turn. It's almost like the anti-camera turn where you don't turn to the camera, you turn away from it and kind of lean into her direction. She's going. I'm like, that was really a kind of a cool swagger right there.
Yeah. It was a don't mess with my friends, buddy.
Yeah. I was almost like, did she see that on TV while she was home by herself? I thought it was cool. Yeah. But I did notice that. That was cool. Unless you got anything from that, because like you said, the administrator catches them up.
Yeah. All of the sudden. Yeah. What's going on here? What have you been doing for the last 3 minutes? Yes.
Who's going to clean that up? So, we're back. We move over to another great scene, a transition scene. This is like the first of many, of this episode where Jonathan is picking out a coffin, a horrible, horrible thing to have to do. And Nancy arrives, just shows up at the funeral home. And immediately Jonathan is going to go talk to her. The coffin can wait, and he sits down to talk to her and they have a good conversation about things and about mom. And then Nancy goes to the scribe, talks about the photograph, talks about what she saw, when she was running through the forest. And then she starts to describe it and she actually goes to leave. I didn't write that down, but this one I'm watching tonight, she gets up like, never mind. I mean, it's kind of like a whatever moment. Do you remember that?
I'm sorry. I totally zoned out just then. What?
But I remember she leaves and he stops her and says, what did it look like? What you saw? That's right. What did it look like? And she said, it's like a person with, and he goes, without a face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
How did you know
Welcome to the other side, Jonathan and Nancy. Welcome to.
Yeah. She's like, how did you know that?
Yeah.
Because there was only like 4 other options: without hands, without hair, without clothes, without a face. I just guessed. No.
And he finishes by saying, I really thought my mom, I wonder if she's telling I guess she's telling the truth now. Or
no, he was
I never thought she was telling the truth.
He was like, I kept thinking she was crazy, but she's not.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So then we get undercover Hopper at the hideaway bar.
I thought he did a pretty good job. Yeah.
He was great. And he sits down with O'Bannon. He finds him immediately and does some great undercover questions to lead him into where he's going. Gets him relaxed first. Actually gets him to toast his daughter and then runs right. Oh, I know where I've seen you. And then gets right into the lab and brings it out. Why are you feeding me this bull?
Yeah. Why are you lying to me?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's something about that scene that I wonder if to me it was very subtle. He's acting, right? He's doing all this acting. My daughter won the spelling bee. The guy says, "What's her name?" And boom, it's real again. Mm-hmm. See, because at first I was thinking, does he thinks the guy's blown or he's trying to see if I'm lying. But I really think it was like, okay, I didn't really want to get this real, That wasn't on his script. That's what I got from it too. His response was like, okay, all right, keep going. Yeah. You have the right answer. Just keep going. It was Sarah. Why are you crying? She won the spelling bee. I lied. She's really dead. I'm sorry.
I'm here to trick you into saying something.
I just was kind of hoping you'd tell me about the rubber boy. like Elastoman. That's what he was. He was a giant Elastoman. Wasn't it Elastic Man?
Elastic Man, yeah.
Ah,
Stretch. I think that's what they call it.
it's Stretch Man. That's what Will's fake body was.
Stretch Armstrong. That's right.
Yeah, Stretch Armstrong for the child in all of us.
Right. And he ends his interrogation but with a question that he already knows the answer to, and Hopper can't give him the right O'Bannon can't give him the right answer.
Oh, so, that's not quite the end of the interrogation, David.
Oh, the indoor interrogation.
Oh, yes. Let's take this outside.
He goes from a verbal interrogation to a physical interrogation outside.
He's got, and that O'Banion guy, he's bigger than Chief.
He is, but Chief is not happy. And he probably caught him off guard with a sucker punch to get him.
Oh, sure.
Yes. So he beats him into admitting that he was told just to keep people away from the body. He was the first one to show up. He admits he was told to call it in, and then he finally says, "Who are you working for?" And O'Bannon looks over his shoulder and sees the black sedan, because black sedans in the 70s and 80s were bad. They were all mean government people.
Well, yeah.
So Hopper goes to chase after a 4-wheeled vehicle, which he's never going to catch, and then O'Bannon runs away.
Yeah.
So this is more bricks falling out of the wall, been put up by the lab, trying to hide what's really going on.
It's like the opposite of Pink Floyd.
All in all, it's just another brick in the wall.
But in this case, all in all, it's just another brick falling off the wall.
There you go.
You got to let me finish my song. You can't just start interrupting me. But
that's why we're both recording, so that everybody can hear your song.
Go ahead.
Is there another parody coming out soon? No. All right, we get a very short scene. This episode's already winding up. We get a very short scene of Joyce turning on Will's boombox, trying to draw him out, trying to get him to talk to her.
Yeah, I love this scene.
That was good. It's very short, though.
Well, not that scene. I love what's coming up.
Yes, back at school. We're back at school. They're inside the radio room, and Elle is sitting at the radio. And we get a flashback, a fantastic flashback, because it goes into what she's been doing with the radio. It's about Brenner sits beside her and says, I want you to find this man, and I want you to repeat to me the words that he's saying right now. And we don't know he's in the lab. She may not know he's in the lab, but she knows where he is and she can find him.
And she just wants to make sure he's not going to hurt him.
Right. That was her first question. Do you want me to hurt him? And she's like, no. So I wonder if this is the first human trial. She's done from the Coke can to the cat. Now there's a man that's speaking.
That's right, because everything else she was destroying.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So finally the guy's been saying words, and Brenda finally says, 11, repeat the words he's saying. But when she does, she uses the speaker system, the paging system up on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And not only does she give Brenna the words, she gives it to him in the voice that's saying the words.
Do you think she just turned on the microphones?
Well, she turned on this. Well, the power went out. Everything went dark except for the speakers.
Oh,
the speakers came on.
So it's like, basically the same thing she did with Will.
Right.
Because Will didn't have anything there to transmit. She just used the walkie-talkie to listen to what he was saying, and it came out of the walkie-talkie. It's the same thing going on here.
Just reversing that the microphone was on his end, because the speaker had a microphone. So she used that to put it through the system.
If the power went out, then she didn't have to use a microphone.
That's what I'm saying. When she uses her powers, it doesn't matter if the power's out. But it knocks the power out, but she uses her power to use whatever she needs to get it to work. It's almost like she's feeding electricity into what she needs to work.
Okay. We're going to disagree on this, and we're going to move on. What? It's okay. Yeah. We're just disagreeing.
I wrote down that I thought it was interesting that when she did this, the power went out, and when the monster shows up, the power goes out. So I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It was similar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when she does it in the ham radio room, the same thing happens. The power goes out. And, but she actually gets to
the power explodes, and then it's over.
Explodes. Yes. The radio explodes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So yeah, we get the, I got lights go out, so no electrical, but she uses the speakers.
Right.
Speaker system to play.
Perfect.
Yep. So Elle is able to make contact with Will, and they hear a banging noise.
Oh, I know this is one. Okay. Second time I watched it was tonight, I did not remember this. I did not remember the connection. We're hearing clank, clank, and then we cut to her. We hear clank, clank. We hear him yelling, Mom, Mom. We cut to the scene. Mom, Mom. They are hearing exactly what's going on. Ah! Okay, go ahead.
I love the simultaneous scenes, but they're only hearing Will's side.
Right.
They're not hearing Joyce's side.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So I just want to make sure, confirm that, because that's what I thought. But when I get to the end of it, I'm thinking I should be clear about that.
Right, because she's connecting them to the upside down world. Now, theoretically, though, if Will could hear his mom, so she's not actually connecting them to the upside down world, because Will's mom could be heard in the upside down world. She's actually just literally connecting them to Will.
Yes.
Nothing else.
To the upside down world side of the conversation.
No.
Like observing the upside down side.
No, because Will can hear his mom. So if Will can hear his mom, that means she's making noise in the upside down world. So they would be able to hear that. They're not just observing the upside down world. They are connected directly into him.
But see, I don't think we ever got a side of that scene where we showed the ham radio room and we heard Joyce's voice.
I know that. That's my whole point. Back up. If she's just honing into the upside down world, then anything that is happening in the upside down world, they would be able to hear it all. Right? Mm-hmm. But they only hear one side of the conversation because they're not cueing into the upside down world. They're cueing into Will.
Right. Okay.
Not the whole atmosphere, just Will.
Right.
Because I don't think they don't hear the monster.
I don't think they're hearing the growling.
But wait a second, they hear the clanging. This is so freaking ridiculous.
The clanging is the music. Right?
No, she turns off the music and hears the clanging.
Is that him beating on the wall?
I don't know what it was. Yeah, I think it was. So
Must
maybe
be him knocking on the wall.
Okay, well then there is a mess up, or there is a flaw in the flow of this, because at the beginning they hear clanging, which is not inside of Will. That is in the upside down world. That is a noise that is being heard there, right? Mm-hmm. But later on, when Will is talking to his mom, they only hear one side of the conversation. They don't hear her talking back. So it doesn't make sense to me.
See, that's why I think they're like an observer in the upside down.
Right. So why don't they hear his mom? He does.
I don't know.
Wait. Okay. Only sounds that originate in the upside down world.
Right.
That makes it consistent. Because the clang happened inside the upside down world, and Will speaking is in the upside down, originates in the upside down world. Okay. Right. I'm just trying to make it work, because if it was they only hear Will, then the clanging doesn't make sense. If it's no, they hear everything in the upside down world, then them not hearing his mom doesn't make sense. But if it's only they hear only things that originate in the upside down world, then it all makes sense.
Yeah, I picture her connecting them just to the upside down, not to Joyce or to anything in the real world. I just picture her connecting them to the upside down. And that's why they got Will. Maybe they heard the growling and we didn't hear it, because the growling mostly came when Will and Joyce were talking. Okay. I don't know how fast it went back to them. But she hears his voice come through the wall. She runs outside, realizes.
Dude, how crazy was that? I'm like, there was a whole slime. We got to see Will's face. Yeah. It's like, you're right there, Mama.
Yeah. And she does what a mother does. Instead of just pulling him out and bringing the monster with him, she tells him to go hide. I mean, how heartbreaking is that she's got to tell him to run away?
Do you think she could have pulled him out? You think she could have?
That's where the monster came through.
I know.
I mean, why not create a hole there? I don't know. She didn't have the accent, I guess, at that point. But
I think I'd be pulling him through and running.
Yeah, I would try to poke through somehow to run, but I think maybe she tried, felt how thick it was or something, and just told him to run.
Well, speculating on what they didn't show. Yeah. Oh, well, anyway.
But it's weird because we talked about the portal closing up behind Shepard when he went in. And as Will is running away and the growling is coming, the sheetrock closes back over the portal.
Yep.
Yeah. And maybe that's when she's like, she can't get him out. She knows he's got to run. Mm-hmm. So, but that was a really good, very good simultaneous scene. that just went back and forth, back and forth. And it's at that point where the radio explodes, catches on fire, Dustin to the rescue with a fire extinguisher, and Elle is out of it.
Yeah. She looks bad.
That's probably the most we've seen her affected by something she's done like that.
Yeah.
And Joyce takes an axe to the wall and creates a new sunlight.
Because after all, that's where her son was. You might as well try to get through.
Bring it back. Let's see. Nancy and Jonathan are in the red room, dark room, whatever that's called. The photo.
That's the dark room.
The dark room. Okay.
The place where you want to bring a girl you like.
Gotcha. And they as they're waiting for the photo to come together, it's really neat because this related to me back to Lucas and the pretty scene where they make over Elle when he says, I'd rather observe people than talk to people. And she finishes the sentence for him. He says, because people don't always say what they're really thinking. Yeah. But if you capture them in a picture, it says more.
Right.
So if you can watch them, it says more than just talking to them. And I thought back to Lucas and how great his reactions were without saying a word. He almost like stole that little scene from Mike, his reactions to all of Mike's reactions.
Yeah.
So
someone's home at my house. You hear my dog?
I just did. As soon as you said that, I just did. But they develop the picture and they get it and they see the monster clear as day in the picture. And the funeral home, he said it could have been pictorial distortion. It could have just blown something up that was on the edge of the page and the funeral home. But once they get in the dark room, he finally sees it. The picture's clear.
I thought in the funeral home, he said, well, I guess it could be that, but I didn't use any kind of. So yeah. I thought he dismissed it after he said it.
Yeah. Well, I think the wide was like, I don't know if it's going to show up anymore if we develop it again, but we can do it.
Oh, okay. I thought he said I didn't do a wide angle. So I don't know why that would be the case. But anyway, point is, there's the monster.
There it is.
And, okay. So. This is where I mean, because Steve was a butthead this episode, but Jonathan was like every girl's dream, except for the voyeuristic pictures, every girl's dream of a guy, compassionate, empathy, caring about what she thinks. I want this song to be for them.
We're going to have to come up with a different song for them because they'll have their moments later on.
Yeah, but they don't end up together. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but you can pick a song for that.
Okay. She blinded me with science.
There you go. So we're back to Hopper getting back into the morgue.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
he tells the lady, I forgot my hat.
Yeah.
Because I always wear a hat now, even when the street closed.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it when he gets up to the young trooper. Did you see what he was reading?
Yeah, he was reading Cujo.
Exactly, with Stephen King on the back.
That was my first Stephen King book, Cujo.
So mine was Pet Sematary. But the
wow.
I know, that's quite a book to start with.
Yeah.
The funny thing was when I looked at it tonight and I was watching it again, I'm like, that guy does not fit in that uniform very well. Either he's an extra they picked up off the street for the show, or he's a lab technician they put in a state trooper uniform to make him sit there and watch the body.
There you go. With a gun.
I really like that. With a gun and keys.
And he got beat up pretty easily.
That's what made me think he was a lab tech and not a trained state trooper. And he just did not fit that uniform. Well,
although that old Banyan guy got beat up too. But.
He did. He got sucker punched, I think.
Well, probably.
So with Cujo,
I love it because Hopper's like, okay, I'm going to try to fool you with that. And he's like, okay, you exhausted that idea.
Yeah. I really don't have time.
Yeah.
Let me just take care of this now. So he's down. At least O'Bannon survived a few punches. And he goes in, he pulls the wrong body out, and then he pulls the right body out. But before he can do it, he walks away like, am I really going to do this?
Am I really going to stick a knife into this? As of right now, there is, I want to believe it's not a human, but it has to be. It has to be this body.
Yeah, at the start of the episode, he was 99%. That's Will. Will is in the water. He's dead.
I thought it was 100%.
At the start of this episode.
It was 100%.
I think the fact that he stayed in the truck at the end of the scene was
But that wasn't the beginning of the show. That was 10 minutes into the show or 2 minutes into the show.
That was the end of the first scene. Yes. So at this point, with all the evidence that he's seen now that he's building, it's down to about 50%.
Well,
40% maybe.
I disagree. I still think he's at like 95%, but that 5% is getting strong. Here we are arguing over percentages. What are we, married?
Exactly. So when he finally breaks down, he puts his hand on the body. And that 5% becomes 55%.
Yeah, exactly.
The body's not cold.
Right.
It feels just like latex.
Yeah. Wow. It's a very rough skin. Interesting.
Okay.
A very protective skin.
Yeah. So we can knife it now.
Yeah.
I don't feel so bad now.
But great camera work, because it's like he's seeing something, but you don't know what he's seeing because they keep blocking it.
Right. Exactly. No reveal until it's a one big reveal.
Right.
And it's cotton. It's stuffing inside a rubber body.
Yeah.
So then we get Joyce sitting in the buyer's home, and these lights and this big noise, like truck noise, is coming up to the front. And we think it's Hopper coming to reveal to her that he is now on her side completely. You know, this is another transition. And I forgot to say that there was another transition back at the school in the radio room. I think it was Lucas. That scene got Lucas transitioned over to closer to where Mike is as far as Elle. I think Lucas was starting to turn at that point with the radio work. Where they heard Will calling for his mom.
Yeah, but
Lucas has been a denier all this time. He hasn't wanted to, but he's been gradually following along.
Oh, Lucas. Yes,
Lucas.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So he transitioned over. We got Nancy and Jonathan now transitioned over, and now we've got Hopper transitioned over.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not Hopper, it's Lonnie for some strange reason that's decided to pull up and sees the hole in the house he probably used to live in and says, "What in the world?"
Oh,
and she's like, "Oh, okay, you're here. I'll just hug you because you won't believe what I just saw."
Dude sees an opportunity.
Yes.
We're going to sue the people that have that big, water thing. Well, we don't get there yet, but we know that's coming. And
the last scene is Hopper pulling up.
Oh, yeah.
In his truck to a chain link fence.
Yeah.
And popping the first link.
Which was awesome.
Credits. Great scene.
That was really good. Great episode.
Yep. Every time you think you've seen a great one, here comes another one.
I know. I don't even remember what happens in the next one. Well, okay. So in the next one, I'm sure Lonnie's doing all the, we gotta sue them and make lots of money. Yep. That's about the only thing I remember. So I'm going to have to go back and obviously I'm going to watch it, but anyway.
I'm going to give you a hint. Hopper tries to get into the lab.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. All right. So David, that was a pretty awesome episode. We've already said that. Do you have any final words or anything you want to say?
It's hard to sum up an episode when you know another good one's coming. So I'll just leave it for next week.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for hanging around. If you want to hear the show earlier than Saturday mornings, you can. All of our patrons have access to the audio on their patron feed or their Patreon feed within a few hours of us doing it live, like we're doing it right now. It's about the best way we could say thank you is to give them early access to stuff. Thank you all. If you are a patron, thank you for doing that. stwdd.com/patron. All right. So I've already asked you if you have anything and you don't. I guess that's all. See ya, folks.
See ya.